Hello and welcome to our first Crystal Awakening video. We will analyze each of the characters' crystal passives and their overall abilities. Afterwards, I'll give my own recommendations of Awakening priority. The first batch of characters have been released, and in this video we will be covering Warrior of Light, Firion, and Terra. Let's talk about what Awakening is. It's another 10 levels in a character's crystal strength as well as their regular level. If you choose to unlock a character's crystal level to level 60, you will need a new crystal type called High Shards. These come as event rewards, so currently there is no farmable way to obtain them. Throughout unlocking the levels, new passives and ability improvements will spike up a character's strength. This is a direct power boost with improvements and buffs. In this guide, we will assume all characters will have their 15 CP and 35 CP weapon passives, since I don't really recommend awakening a character without both. Of course, there may be exceptions, but I'll get into that once a character arrives. For my own ranking, I'll be giving a grade from S, A, B, C, and D, S being the highest recommended and D the lowest. Do note that this is my own opinion and I haven't really tried out the characters yet, just theory crafting, so my opinion might change after using the character or seeing other people use that character. First, let's start off with Warrior of Light. At level 54, he gets Buff Boost, which increases max bravery while buffed at 50%. At level 55, he gets Shining Shield Extension, which adds 2 extra uses and increases the second brave gain potency by 60%. At level 58, he gains Buff Attacked Up, which increases attacked while buffed for 10%. At level 60, he gets Throw Buckler Extension, which increases the potency by 20% and transforms it into an HP attack. Now we're gonna assume that he has both his level 15 and 35 CP weapon passives, as well as unlocking the Crystal Strength passives. His first skill is Shining Shield. Target allies gain a shield buff. The shield buff protects targets from bravery damage by 230% of Warrior of Light's initial bravery. The target also gains a max bravery buff at 20% for 5 turns. The target also raises his bravery by 50% of Warrior of Light's initial bravery, and then again raises the target's bravery by 110% of current bravery. His second skill is Throw Buckler. This is a one-hit ranged bravery attack at a potency of 220, followed by an HP attack. Warrior of Light gets the shield buff himself, which again protects himself from bravery damage by 230% of Warrior of Light's initial bravery. He also grants himself a attack up buff for 40% for 5 turns. Enemy target is inflicted with the Lock debuff for 5 turns. The Lock debuff draws enemy attacks. And finally, Warrior of Light gets the initial bravery up buff at 40% for 3 turns, and debuff evasion up at 75% for 3 turns. Warrior of Light is considered a tank character, which have a very unique playstyle. If you've never played tank characters before, I would highly recommend at least trying it out, because the playstyle of using a tank is completely different from 3 DPSs or 2 DPS and 1 support, which we are currently used to by now. He is also a support character for his team with the Lock ability, the Shield ability, and the ability to give bravery to his teammates. Now, in a meta full of DPS characters and support characters, the only DPS move he has is Throw Buckler, which has an average DPS. Unfortunately, tank characters aren't in the best place, with DPS characters and support characters being the top pick for our current content. He's definitely not bad, but he's just out of the meta right now, so I'll be giving him the grade of B. He's average, he's not bad, but he also isn't in the best place right now. Next up we have Firion. At level 54, he gains initial HP damage up, which increases his initial bravery by 40% for 3 turns after taking HP damage. At level 55, he gets Blood Weapon Extension, which increases the potency by 5%, and increases HP recovery limit by 10%. At level 58, he gets HP Initiative, which increases his speed when HP is at 50% of max HP or higher. And finally, at level 60, he gets Seized Attack Extension. Seized Attack gets an potency increase by 10%, and Seized Attack Plus gets an increased potency by 15%, and increases the max bravery buff potency by 20%. Firion's first skill is Blood Weapon. This is a 2-hit melee brave attack with a potency of 45%, followed by an HP attack. He also recovers 55% of HP damage dealt up to 35% of his max HP. His second skill is Seize Attack. Seize Attack is a 1-hit ranged bravery attack with a potency of 170%. This turns into Seize Attack Plus if his HP is greater than 50% of his max HP. Seize Attack Plus is a 1-hit ranged bravery attack with a potency of 255%. He also grants himself a max bravery up buff at 100% for 5 turns. He also grants himself a bravery regen buff at 80% of initial bravery for 6 turns. After using this skill, he raises his party's bravery based on 100% of his attack stat. Firion is a jack of all trades with a Brave plus HP attack, a regular Brave attack, healing, and self buffs. With Seize Attack Plus, he becomes a strong Brave shaver with high potencies. Unfortunately, being a jack of all trades, besides Seized Attack Plus, he gets somewhat of low potencies in all areas. His Awakening passives also have really low potency gains. Even though he's a pretty good character, the buffs that he gains from Awakening is somewhat not as good as other characters. So because of this, I'm giving him a grade of B. He's not totally useless, he does have some uses, but he's just not as good as other characters. Next up, we have Terra. At level 54, she gets Low Bravery Initiative, which increases speed when bravery is below her initial bravery. At level 55, she gets Meltdown Chant Extension. Meltdown gets increased bravery based on 60% of her attack stat. It also increases the potency of maximum bravery up by 20%. Meltdown Plus also gives Terra a new buff called Bravery Regen at 40% of her initial bravery for 5 turns. At level 58, she gets Initial Bravery Up, which increases initial bravery by 10% when HP is at 50% of max HP or higher. At level 60, she gets Meteor Chant Extension. Meteor Plus gets an increased number of hits to 15. Terra's first skill is Meltdown. After using Meltdown, Terra raises her bravery based on her attack stat at 75%. She then raises her bravery again by 50% of her current bravery. And then one more time, she raises her bravery by 20% of the current bravery. She then gives herself an attack up buff at 30% for 4 turns. She then gives herself yet another buff, max bravery up buff, at 60% for 5 turns. After using Meltdown, she instantly triggers Meltdown Plus. Meltdown Plus is an HP attack, followed by a debuff to the target enemy, with Defense Down debuff at 30% for 4 turns. After using the skill, she yet again grants herself a Bravery Regen buff at 40% of initial bravery for 5 turns. Terra's second skill is Meteor. Meteor raises her bravery based on her attack stat at 50%. She then again raises her bravery by 50% of her current bravery. She then grants herself an attack up buff at 30% for 4 turns. Then again, she grants herself a speed buff for 6 turns. After using Meteor, she instantly triggers Meteor Plus. Meteor Plus is a 15-hit magic bravery attack with a potency of 270%, followed by an HP attack. The target enemy hit with this attack then gets a speed down debuff for 2 turns. Terra has insane single target DPS with high potencies, brave gains, and offensive self buffs and debuffs. Currently, she is one of the highest DPS characters. Because she gives herself so many buffs, she doesn't really need any support characters to excel, and she fits in any team. She grants herself so much bravery that a battery isn't really required for her. The only negative that I can think of is that in long battles, that may be a problem for her as she gets no bravery attack plus or HP attack plus. So in longer fights, maybe she'll run out of ability uses. Overall, Terra's recent buffs and her awakening really puts her on the top of the DPS charts, so because of this I give her an S grade. Personally, Terra will be the first character for me to use the awakening high shards, and I'll be trying to max her out as soon as possible. And that's the end of the video for our first Crystal Awakening video featuring the first half of the Batch 1 characters being released. Thank you all so much for watching, and please stay tuned for part 2 where I talk about Cloud, Shantotto, and Y'shtola. Please remember to give a like to this video if you liked it because that would really help me out, and subscribe for more content. Also in the comment section below, let me know who you're going to awaken first. Again, personally, Terra will be the first one that I awaken, as she is also the first character that I got a weapon for. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Adimil, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!